Right, here we go. This is session 40 of Mask of Nyarlathotep. And so far, you guys have done remarkably well. A couple of characters have gone insane. One character has died. Two characters have died. But other than that, you guys have done remarkably well. That being said, you guys are in Kenya, and Kenya is notorious for TPKs. So far, either through blind luck or some skillful planning or some good choices made, you guys have managed to avoid much of the set pieces that kind of cap off each chapter, which is when the really bad shit happens. Like when you guys were in Egypt, a fluke spell from Evelyn whisked you guys away, so you weren't there when the hundreds of cultists were killed by something. That being said, I would be remiss as a game master if I didn't bring up the fact that in a difficult campaign, Kenya is one of the more difficult parts. So, with that being said, we'll see how things go. But in Kenya, you guys have traveled to Nairobi. Took a train. Were attacked on the train by creatures that were identified as fire vampires. Essentially small living stars that had been summoned by the cult to eradicate you. Some quick thinking from Miles and Gary managed to grab some fire extinguishing equipment, which seemed to be super effective, but not before they pretty badly maimed Eugene. Those of you who are spellcasters, you guys managed to deduce that the summoner could not be terribly far, and Gary managed to find her during the chaos of the fire vampire attack, which was not even remotely subtle. But it is being written up as an electrical fire. And he ensured that she would no longer be a problem for you guys.
I'm sorry. What do you mean by that? I wasn't there at that session. What do you mean he made sure that they were no longer a threat?
He stuck up on her in a crowd and stuck a knife into her.
Okay.
Apparently very similar to his bar mitzvah in some ways.
Kinda.
But in Nairobi, you guys had some time while you waited for Eugene to mend up, to do some looking around, do some asking, and you were eventually directed to a man named Joseph Kenyatta, who had you escorted to meet somebody named Old Bandari, a wise man in an area of Nairobi called Swahili Town. Apparently, he is a wise man. You guys have entered into Bandari's abode, where this incredibly old, incredibly frail-looking man is sitting in the middle of a small hut. As you guys entered, you did make out inscriptions on the walls that looked to Evelyn like they were protective wards. A combination of tribal folk magic and some actual something akin to elder signs and the like. So kind of a combination of mythos protection and traditional folk magic. But you guys have been led into this kind of central place. The gentleman that has escorted you in has basically told you to have a seat and to wait until Bandari comes from where he's at. And then he goes over to the old man and kind of like uncrosses his legs and kind of massages them. Those of you who are trained in medicine realize it's just a kind of ensure that the circulation continues to flow. But you guys have a few moments to kind of discuss amongst yourselves if you wish.
I'm going to ask an out-of-game question. Why are we here other than we were instructed to? Like, is there a lead that we have here that we're going after?
You were asking around for information on the Mountain of the Black Wind.
Yeah, we were given
and we
a
are
note.
followed by cultists, like steadily.
Yes.
I'll put my notes in
We
the
received an
chat.
invitation from the. I don't know how related he is to the chief, but he was a friend to our deceased friend, and when I spoke with him, it didn't seem to lie. Like he seemed that seems true, and he said that Elias was destined to perish in his quest, but our destiny is unset, and he didn't bother to bring Elias to the wise men, but maybe he could help us, and since our destiny is not set, he didn't mind bring us there because it wouldn't burden his wise man with the weight of the failure that awaited Elias or something like that. So the thinking is that this man knows about the Mountain of the Black Wind and could help us to
The Morogi.
Yeah.
And what happened to Miles's friend, who we were going to use to take us on safari?
He's gone to his game lodge, and if you guys wish to visit him, he's given directions.
Yeah, he's waiting for us, kinda.
Okie doke.
There we go.
So this is a information gathering on some people that possibly could be on our side and could wish to help, give us information, maybe help us do the ritual. So it's not all on our shoulder/power. We need to find allies in everywhere we go, and those people might be down. Oh, and when we enter his room, there were strange runes and powers on the wall, and we felt unwatched for the first time ever since we started this, like peaceful.
Yeah, there's a definite sense of peace. Like it, even breathing becomes like just a little bit easier. Like this weight is no longer on your shoulders.
I don't.
You mean
wish
like
to-
the weight of expectation and fate of us having to try to save the world, or you mean like stress?
More stress.
Like, that isn't stressful.
Way to ruin the atmosphere, man.
But yeah, so far, to put it in layman terms, this guy has passed the vibe check.
Yep.
Oh, God.
I am sorry about that.
Pass the vibe check. He is not sus.
That's right.
The fact that he's, we think, in the dreaming right now, on the other hand, that's a little creepy. But we came out of it mostly more intact than we went in, so...
I mean, people seems to go there for nefarious and for nice reason, so let's hope he's doing this for nice reasons.
Here's hoping.
It's the less sussy. It's the less sus of all the sussiest things.
Thank you for that layman's term.
Is this a case of pardon the French?
Okay, so are we waiting for him to like wake up, Chris? And
Yes.
are we like left alone with him?
You are.
I was taking advantage of that moment to just be at peace for a second and not be watched. So I was basking in the moment. And at the same time, taking notes. Like, if those runes can protect the room against everything, that might be useful in the future. So
Chris, only because I'm becoming more and more paranoid because we are always being watched. Me suddenly not feeling watched makes me more paranoid, I guess, to a certain extent, right? Because
Yep.
I'm looking at what are our options in case he turns into a horrible monster. Like, are there exit options here? Like, where are we?
Yeah. So basically the hut has kind of like a spiral corridor that goes from the door kind of around the hut until it leads into the central chamber. There's no other chambers, and there's only the kind of the one winding path that leads back out.
And when you say hut, you don't mean like straw hut. Like, we can't just like Kool-Aid man through the walls or anything like that. Just like a
You
mud
could.
hut or something.
It's largely kind of like mud, some stone, some straw. It's kind of cobbled together from what they had.
Quite different than the fancy yellow Rolls Royce that we drove here in.
Yes. And as you guys kind of sit and wait, after probably half an hour or so, the younger man that led you in here comes in with basically like little platters of peanuts and plantain, like baked plantain, like glasses of milk or water. Takes a couple of
But
moments
nothing stiffer.
Nothing stiffer. He goes to work, kind of like working the old man's muscles again. And those of you who are keen observers notice that the old man, he's breathing, but it's very, very slow and almost imperceptible.
Yeah, I mean, he must be in those kind of trance, death-like something.
Chris, when you described this, you described the hut, but the furniture around, is there like literature? Are there books? I know that this guy is using some kind of horrible magic thing to keep us at bay, but everything we've ever found was inside books or scrolls. I don't see that here. I just see the markings in the walls, right?
Correct.
There's nothing that would say that this guy is obviously magic was used to reinforce this place, but there's nothing specifically to say that this guy is the one who did it. There's no libraries of knowledge or anything like that hanging around.
No, the only thing that's in this chamber is basically like a little kind of straw bed, kind of a kind of ramshackle nightstand, but no books, and not even any tools or anything that you see.
Because in every other situation we've been in, for every other evil bad guy that's a gigantic wizard, there have been libraries and accoutrements when we enter their places of power, right?
Yep. There's none. It's very, very Spartan.
Lots of book we found were retranscription of tribal practice. So some people have translated oral history into books, and that's how they came to us. But those people might just have still access to the actual oral history, is my thinking. Depending on if you voice your question out loud, I guess. Sorry about that.
Well, I voiced my question out loud. Says, I don't feel like he's an evil magician. There are no books around.
Yeah. Hopefully, he's on our side.
Books, am I right?
And as the hours kind of tick on and tick on and tick on, eventually, after a significant amount of time has passed, you can see the old man kind of like he stiffens and he kind of, it's almost like he swells a little bit. Like you didn't notice it at first. You thought he was maybe just like an old emaciated man. But he kind of like, he fills out to more normal proportions. And his eyes kind of flutter and then open.
Like a balloon that's kind of like filling back up kind of deal?
Kind of like if he was like a normal weight person who looked really sunken and then came back to normalcy. But he looks around, kind of looks at each of you in the torchlight. He says something in Swahili. I don't know if anybody actually speaks Swahili.
Not me.
Alvin certainly does not.
I believe I speak some. Let me check. I have it at I have it at 16%, so I understand.
Oh, excellent. So you do catch some words, and it's basically it's like he's welcoming you. And then when he kind of sees the blank looks on most of your faces, and Miles catches like every second or third word sort of thing. Although you can definitely roll your Swahili, because if you succeed, there's a chance it'll go up.
Chris, and you said 20% is fluent, right?
Yeah, 20 to 30% is generally considered enough to get by. So Miles is mostly fluent. But as he sees this kind of blank look on your face, he kind of smiles, says something else. Miles, you kind of catch like apologies and emotions for the younger man who serves as his translator. It's like, you have traveled far. You have seen things.
We have seen too much.
And now you have come to Old Bandari, seeking wisdom? Guidance? What brings you here?
We were suggested to talk to you.
We are on a quest to rid the world of great evil, and we need to find a mountain that it hides in. Is that right? I look over to the rest of the group.
That's the gist of it.
He kind of looks at each of you. It's like, I've seen you in my dreams and visions.
Poor man.
Your mission is perilous, and perhaps time is not your friend. Should I tell you pleasant things, or should I tell you the truth?
The truth.
Alvin gets really uncomfortable.
You're here seeking the bloody tongue. The cult that calls the Mountain of the Black Wind its home. They have grown arrogant. Many people from the villages have disappeared into the mountain, stolen by the cult for sacrifices. The leaders in the nearby cities do little. They are corrupt. Corrupt by thought, corrupt by deed. But there are those of us that know the old ways, that pray to Nagai, the Lord of the mountain, to stave off the evil. Perhaps our prayers have been answered.
In the form of what?
And he kind of just gestures at you.
No pressure.
So, if you have questions, perhaps I can answer them.
I think the simplest question that we can ask is, where is this mountain?
The Mountain of the Black Wind. Otherwise known as Mount Satima. We can... My grandson here can guide you if you need. He will draw a map for you while we talk. You are aware that there is a great evil there, against which there is no protection.
I look back to the rest of the people. Is that where we need to do the ritual? Because that sounds like a really bad plan.
I think so. We have to pick the highest peak, don't we? For it to spread over the most land.
We need to find an eye point close enough to wherever the ritual could be done so that it blocks them from being able to do it. We also need some help to do that.
Yeah, it's the 4th highest mountain in Kenya, I think.
It is. What is this ritual of which you speak?
Alvin kind of really looks forward. He's like, opens his arm to the rest of the crew as if this guy's asking the wrong person.
Yeah. Like Eugene looks at the group like, should I? I was about to explain, but I trust this fellow, but what's your...
I mean, we are in the middle of nowhere in a hut. If they want to kill us, it's done. And we're kind of stuck here. So, yeah. I mean,
We need to seal it with the Eye of Light and Darkness.
And again, his grandson there, Okomu, translates. And he comes back and says, ancient tales speak of this sign. Magicians say that it existed up until a few years ago when a god tricked evil men into destroying it. If you have this sign, perhaps it can chain the god beneath the mountain.
I've been on the track of the people who broke the sign. We've been trying to fix what they've done before. But it's not something we can do alone. We were hoping to find some allies in your country.
You will not find many that are willing to go to the mountain. The people know that the mountain is called the Black Wind because of the dead god that inhabits it.
Yeah.
You keep saying dead god as if it's something we don't need to worry about. But you also seem to imply that it absolutely is something that we should need to worry about.
Every year, the Black Wind is unleashed, bringing plague and famine, disaster to the nearby villages. The people are rightfully afraid. Things have gotten worse since the priestess has taken up residence.
Priestess?
Yes, her name is Maweru. She organizes the abductions, she organizes the sacrifices that cause the god to appear in all of its terrible glory, attended by creatures not of this earth.
definitely sounds like our usual shtick.
Was she with the Carlisle expedition when they came through?
She was.
Was she pregnant? Or had she been shortly after?
No, but she is the one that has prophesied the coming of a child of the god.
Alvin starts rubbing his head like he's about to have a migraine is about to start. So there is an evil priestess who can summon demons on the mountain that we need to make the ritual on. And no one will come because everyone is afraid of the mountain, so we have to go alone.
They are rightfully afraid.
Doesn't change the fact that we need to go alone. He's really rubbing his temples at this point.
You said that not many would follow us, but that implied that some might. Would some of your kin be more eager to help seal that ritual site?
No, I cannot speak for them. It is a long and arduous journey to the mountain. And you will not find many who are unaware as to what fate will lay in wait for them. No one goes to the mountain and comes back intact.
Yeah, that I'm aware of. But we have how many days left?
Let's see, it's July, you have till January, so you've got 5 months.
I assume I turn to Jamie and he gives me an exact number.
5 months, 4 days, 3 hours. Or the closest estimate.
Yeah. Something still needs to be done or everyone will pay for this. So we have no choice but to continue on this quest.
Chris, the last time we did this ritual, because Alvin is only going from his own personal experience, it was an all-night affair, right?
Yes, it was.
And it was unsubtle, it was loud and full of people.
Yes.
So it's not like we can sneak onto the top of the mountain and then just pull it off without anyone noticing.
Probably not.
Yeah, we need a way to disrupt the cult. We can just sneak that ritual. I don't know if anybody is trying to fight them here, but if they are, we should help them.
I'm sorry, wise man. Is there what can we call an opposite cult that would be a rival to those of the Bloody Tongue?
There are those who still pray to Nagai, Lord of the Karanyaga. But they are not fools.
You might be onto something, but there's other god names, and sometimes they fight between each other. We've seen this happen before. Is there a cult of the... He starts snapping his fingers. What's the name of the other ones there? Help me out here, guys. There's the Bloody Tongue. There's the...
There are
goes by different names.
There are many names. The Bloated Lady.
Right, but they fight against each other because they think that each one is right?
Often, yes. But the Bloody Tongue seems to have won here. Still could look for contenders.
Alvin kind of looks pleadingly to the old man, like, is there any of those cults around or left over, or...
If they are in hiding. The cult of the Bloody Tongue is merciless to its enemies.
Of course they are.
Great.
Are you the one who protected this place from their sight?
I was granted knowledge during one of my travels.
In the lands of dreams.
Yes.
Is it knowledge you're allowed to impart? This is the first time in a long time where I feel at peace. It's a feeling I'm not keen on relinquishing.
I'm sure that I can show you.
Thank you very much. Still need to find others who will fight. Don't think we can vanquish the Bloody Tongues on our own. But we need to understand what they're doing here. Maybe try to put a stop to it. Disrupt whatever they're doing so we can do that ritual.
You have... I may have something that can help. And he kind of nods, and his grandson kind of goes over to the the straw bed, kind of like feels around under it, and comes out with two things. One of them is it is like a carved like a fly whisk, and the other is a small wooden cage with a weird looking lizard in it.
Weird looking how?
And he passes both of them over to you guys. The fly whisk, it's like a tribal African fly whisk, but it feels like it has some sort of power in it to like anybody who's got any sort of magical capability. The small lizard, though, it's like a small wooden cage. The lizard inside it is kind of like this warty grayish brown thing with like 3 horns sticking out of its forehead. What looks odd about it is its mouth is on a vertical axis instead of horizontal.
Ew.
And each of its forelimbs divides into 2 at the elbow joint. So each of its 4 legs has like 2 feet.
So it has 4 or 8 forearms, but only 4 limbs.
It has 4 limbs, and then the 2 front limbs divide into 2 each.
Yeah, sorry, my language skills are not enough to describe this.
Yeah,
And
So it has
the weirdest thing we've seen.
4 legs, but 6 feet.
Yes.
Does he come from the dreamland?
This is my friend. Her name is Who Is Not What She Seems. I found her in a faraway place.
And you're giving us this pet why?
Well, take her with you. Feed her well. She likes flies. But if the situation is dire, open the cage and release her, and she will be of service to you.
I'm sorry, her name is Who Is Not What She Seems?
Yes.
Okay.
Alvin
Seems
looks at the box wearily.
Yeah, so this thing, it weighs a couple of pounds. It's basically, it's like a decent size. It's the size of like a decent sized chameleon.
But
First, I'm regretting asking this question, but can we either do an occult or a Cthulhu mythos on what this thing is?
or a natural science?
Oh, not natural
Is that what
science.
it's called?
Not natural science.
Unnatural science.
Cthulhu mythos.
Oh, dear.
I didn't even realize I'm not even logged in. Hold on.
Blissfully ignorant.
Oh, you're very blissful. A 94. Oh, yeah, I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely strange looking. It's definitely not a natural animal though, Miles. You're absolutely certain of that. And it does have the weird chameleon thing where its eyes move independently.
Just keeps getting creepier.
Well, glad to meet you. She who does not appear as what she is.
She just kind of sits there in her cage.
Chris, just to make sure, she's implying this is one of those like do not like break in case of emergency kind of things. Like,
Yes.
That is most definitely what I heard.
And actually, folks can give me a occult roll.
So close. I think my dice luck may have returned.
why don't you push that? You're 89%.
Yeah, I know. I've got 54 luck right now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll push rather than spending the luck.
Okay.
That's better.
All right. So you do not break it as you're examining it.
That's good.
So both Evelyn and Miles, you're aware as you're looking at this. It's made out of some sort of like very dark wood, perhaps even ebony, and it is carved with symbols from the Kikuyu tribe, which is one of the indigenous peoples of Kenya. You're both aware that in many of the African cultures, the fly whisk is a defense against evil spirits. Because in African mythology, a lot of evil spirits take the form of flies.
That makes sense.
So it's a fairly common tool amongst the wise men and wise women to ward against evil spirits. And as you're examining it, Bandari will look at you and say, "This will help you to both find and resist evil."
If you allow me to question, since you bestow upon us those items that might be of guidance to us, maybe you could help us identify some object that were liberated by some of our friends from their cleansing of the bloody tongue in New York in America. We've seized some things and we still don't know exactly what they are.
I can see if I can tell you anything. I've seen a great many things in my travels.
I think the bandana we had understood. but there were some masks that still elude us.
Yep. So what do you guys have that you pass to him?
Well, I don't know what we have with us. But I know I took some drawings of some of the things, so I could at least bring out my sketchbook out.
Okay.
I knew that Dr. Carter was carrying around the Egyptian scepter, but that's the only item that I know some of us were carrying around. So if anybody want to correct me.
You're treading on the one thing I have absolutely no opinion on because my character did not.
Yeah, Gary was not there when you had all of those fancy things.
Sorry, I lost the thread there for a second. You're showing him what?
I'm asking you if you mind if I show him the drawing I made of the items we got from the Bloody Tongue in New York.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Maybe he can help us identify what they are.
Possibly.
So I'll get closer to him and get my book out. Show him the drawing of the 4 masks.
Okay. As you do, he kind of looks at that. He's like, "Oh, it's been a long time since I saw that." And for those of you who don't remember, the mask is a carved wooden mask with like 4 hideous faces, like kind of like one on each side, on top of a very thick corded neck with a basket-like reed that kind of so that the masks sit on top of your head and then the reeds come down to cover your face. The masks, the faces were previously identified to represent 4 of the gods of the Cthulhu mythos. Specifically, Nodens, Azathoth, Shub-Niggurath, and Yog-Sothoth.
Can you put those names in the chat?
You can't just spell them
Please.
from memory?
I was going to say, they're not phonetic enough?
No.
No, but you can, I think
I mean-
you can write them as it sounds.
They might be if you said them slowly enough, but no.
I remember Shub-Niggurath. How do you spell it?
I'm wary of hidden H's.
Apostrophe K.
There we go.
Thank you.
So this mask allows the wearer to contact these deities.
Can you choose which one?
Depends
Or
on
is
whether
it
or not.
like-
Depends if you know the proper rituals to contact that specific deity or not.
Okay.
So it's no direct phone call.
Because I think one of the faces taking an interest in helping us prevent this cult from succeeding.
Nodens.
Noden, I think.
He. Mm-hmm. He opposes the
Yeah.
fellow we'd rather not name.
He who is a dick by name.
Yes, if you are already capable of contacting the being represented by the face, then it will be easier. Otherwise, it will be up to the whims of fate and how strong your will is. So what other items do you guys have?
We had this bandana that I think, from what we understood, protected you from Night Gaunt?
Yes, it is. It protects you from the servants of the Dream God.
Which does that?
The silver headband.
That always feel a bit warm.
Can I ask you a question about fate because you brought it up?
Yes.
You're seeming to imply that fate is against us as opposed to on our side.
Well, fate has no sides. What is destined to happen is destined to happen. Doesn't mean that destiny can't be changed or altered. But fate is impartial.
Wait, what is destined to happen is destined to happen, but we can change it?
Yes. For example, if your future was that you would be struck down by a car, but somehow you found out that was your destiny and you stayed home that morning, your destiny has been changed. If you do not know that it's going to happen, then it will happen.
So our destiny, or the destiny that exists, is ours to change if we're aware of it.
Yes.
And is it destiny that these horrible things will come to pass?
If action is not taken.
But now that we're aware, we have a chance to intercede.
Correct.
So we are acting against destiny?
If you choose to think of it that way.
I was really hoping to say that destiny was on our side, but okay.
Destiny is on no one's side. It simply is.
I get that. I was hoping you would tell me otherwise. If you can see some of that destiny playing out, do you know either what is the best or worst way to approach the problem that we have about doing this ritual on this mountain that is fortified and of which we are going to get no help to get access to?
Unfortunately, I do not.
Because how we fail is just as valuable as how we could succeed.
It's more that your fate is not set. Your friend Mr. Jackson, his fate was sealed. Powerful forces had decided that he needed to be eliminated, and there was little that could be done. Your fate is still open.
I don't know if it's refreshing or insulting that powerful forces have not decided to try to end us.
Yet.
Well, if you have no further questions, it is time for me to rest.
Didn't you just wake up from a 3-hour nap?
I was not napping. I was on a journey.
I mean, is it me or is the gloom just caught up on us?
It's hard to tell, to be honest.
Is it something you said your friend could teach us how to protect the place like this? Would you also be able to teach us how to dream voluntarily over there?
Oh, that is not something that I can teach you quickly.
Right. And you wouldn't happen to know of pathway to come from there to here physically?
There are ways. None of them are safe.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was hoping to find something safe-ish. A ritual, maybe.
Rituals are never safe.
Yeah, that's why I put the ish in my sentence. Because the ghoul tunnels seems a lot less safe than safe-ish.
But Okubo does come over. He's basically finished drawing out the map. And he'll kind of pass it over to you. And then he'll help his grandfather to bed. But Miles, you can give me a navigation roll. So looking at it, I mean, it's a hand-drawn map. You're pretty sure you could lead this expedition to the mountain. You don't necessarily need a guide, but you're looking at like probably a 5 or 6 day journey through the jungles of Kenya. And I think last session I gave you all the potential dangers that it involves.
Yep.
Yep.
So. There is another route that you could take that is basically through the plains instead of the jungle, which is shorter, but it is much more open. So it kind of depends on whether or not you think you're being watched or followed.
Why not both?
Why not both? But either way, there are no roads, there are no rails, there are no rivers. It is footpath.
Does this map bring us any good news?
You know where the mountain is. I mean, I don't know if you'd classify that as good or not, but
Well, before we leave the village here, I'd like to speak to the chief's son. See, his grandfather said he could maybe teach us some things that could be useful, and maybe if we speak with the people of the village, some people might be willing to give us a hand. He said he wouldn't speak for them, but maybe some of them are more willing to physically assist us.
So Okomu will escort you out of the hut. By the time you get out, the sun is starting to be a little low on the horizon. You estimate that you're in there probably about a good 10 hours or so. But the remainder of the day is yours.
When he bring us out, he was the one doing the translation.
Okomu.
But the one escorting us outside, was he the same?
Yep.
Okay, just to make sure, because I'm not good with names.
The grandson is Akomu?
Okomu.
Your grandfather said we could ask your brethren if some of them would be willing or would have idea of how to help us with this. How I don't know. How like you do you think it is that anybody here would be willing to give us a hand?
It is not likely.
That's what I expected.
The last time some Europeans came through here looking for porters and assistants to take them on an expedition into the jungle, none of them returned.
Yes. Well, I have no idea how we're gonna play this, but if we find a way to get access to the mountain and have peace enough to do the ritual, we'll need other to perform it with us, other that understand the importance of doing it, to prevent them from doing more. I won't ask them to fight, but if some of them would be willing to join us, should we find a way to clear a path?
You can certainly ask.
I'll try.
Do not be surprised if they say no.
I assume I'll get a lot of no, but if you'll allow me, I'll speak with them a bit.
Of course.
Your grandfather also said that you maybe would be able to teach me some things.
I can teach you how to make the signs and the symbols.
Yes, that's what I was hoping. If you have a way of keeping us out of sight, giving us a bit of peace, I wouldn't say no.
Certainly. I can show you that.
I take it by your tone, you're also one of those people who would say no to helping.
My duty is to take care of my grandfather.
Well, should I survive this and the rest, might try to come back to have a bit more time to speak with you. Have tea or something.
Certainly.
Once the world is not in jeopardy.
Of course. But if you wish to come with me, I can show you.
Yes. Please.
It would probably be for the best.
If we have
probably be for the best if more than just the two of us learned them as well.
Yes.
So who is?
There's two things we should do while we are in the village, learning that and trying to see if anyone in the village would be willing to come assist us with the ritual once we found a way to do it.
It's hard to convince people when I'm not even convinced myself.
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, I don't want to ask them to come and fight. Just if we manage to fight and find a way to get there, we can't do that ritual alone.
Then
if we win and everyone is gone and everything is great, would you help us? And there's no risk.
You tell that to people who have generations of superstition regarding that place. I have my doubts, but I mean, maybe money can move them.
As you take a look around at the kind of like the mud huts and the corrugated steel roofs and stuff, you're like, yeah, these people are probably not capitalistic.
Not capitalistic yet.
Oh, there you go. Now you definitely sound like a European. So Eugene and Evelyn are going off to learn this protective ritual.
Yep.
Okay. What are the other three doing?
I forget if we already secured like supplies and stuff, because if not, I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, you guys laid in a bunch of supplies last time. So supplies, and I think a couple of people picked up like elephant guns just in case.
Alvin is still pretty sure we're being followed, so even though we're in a remote village, should make it easier to find out if we're being followed. But that's
Yeah,
what he's
that can be something interesting to try to do. How do you want to play it?
he's keen-eyed for now. I mean, these people live a really rustic lifestyle, so if there's anyone from the outside world, like they'd stick out. These people don't seem to be incredibly welcoming. They were suspicious of us when we showed up to begin with as well. So if there is a random person here who just came into the village, they'll be just under as much suspicion as we are, even though they might not be vocal about it.
Except if it's a sleeper agent within the village.
Well, then again, it'll hopefully they're paying attention to us, and maybe they'll tip themselves off. But there's not much more I can.
So you want us to act like tourists while we are going around?
This is not a village of 50,000 people, right? Chris?
Yeah, I mean, there's like maybe 100 people here.
Right, so everyone knows each other. So whether we be tourists or not, we're the odd ones out. I'm just looking to see if anybody else is the odd ones out.
Perfect. All right, you can give me a spot hidden roll. Yeah, I mean, take a look around, and yeah, it does seem like a very kind of close-knit community. You guys 1000% stand out.
Just a little bit.
But to Alvin's kind of like keen investigative sense, there doesn't seem to be anyone paying particular attention to you in a nefarious way. Like, people are looking at you because, I mean, in some cases, you're the only white person they've ever seen.
We're the foreigners walking around talking funny.
Yeah.
For a strange reason, my foundry just stopped and I cannot reach it again.
Okay, I spend my time doing that, Chris, so you can move on to it.
Okay. Like, you can't log back in?
Exactly.
One second. I'll post a link in case it changed. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. For Eugene and Evelyn, Okomu, he does take some time. It takes like several hours to teach you the symbols and things. It is a symbol. It's basically 8 signs drawn on the ground or the wall between 2 circles, which creates a magical barrier. The downside, though, to actually cast it is it takes power.
You make it that you mean permanent power from your tone of voice.
Yep.
How much? Because the one that we know already takes 10, I think.
I thought that was the elder sign.
Yeah, that's the one we know. We have 2 protective runes right now.
There's the barrier, which is temporary and makes a physical wall, and the other sign costs us permanent, but it's it protects a barrier or the things it's written on. This would be new. That would allow us to make a permanent zone. From what I understand.
The barrier of Noctith.
Yeah, so the barrier is a spell. It takes some magic points. It creates a temporary physical barrier. The Elder Sign is basically used to block a gate and preventing Mythos gods or Great Old Ones or similar beings from using the gate. It can be used to protect like very small things. Like if you tattoo the Elder Sign onto your body, that little square inch where the Elder Sign is will be undamaged.
It will survive the fire vampires. Well, you might not.
Yeah.
I need just the gigantic, like the Elder Sign, the whole body. I'm gonna be a giant Elder Sign guy.
Oh.
That will not make me look completely insane, I swear.
20 to 1, you wouldn't be able to cast magic anymore after.
This one, the Sama ritual, creates a protective barrier against the minions of the Outer Gods and the Great Old Ones. Creates a magical barrier through which no Mythos minion or supernatural entity can pass. So it's not a physical barrier the same way the barrier is. This is specifically against Mythos beings, but it takes 10 rounds to cast and costs 10 power.
Ouch.
And is permanent.
It lasts until any portion of the sign is removed.
So we need to find the 4 corners of the earth and just, instead of tattooing a body, we tattoo the earth.
I mean, if we were traveling with the same boat across the world, I would definitely like take a room and fix that, like branded in the steel of the boat. But we keep shifting boats, so we don't own our own boat. We're not that rich.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, other than that, you guys are up to your own devices.
How long does it take him to teach us that?
Yeah, it'll take them a couple hours. I mean, it only takes like a minute to cast. It's just a matter of showing you the symbols and stuff.
Making sure we can trace them properly. Yeah. Miles, Alvin, and Gary will be done long before we are.
Once we're done, don't know if you guys have tried speaking with the people here.
No, but we need a place to crash unless we want to drive during the night.
Good point.
I'm supposed to be the persuasive one, and I don't know what to tell them.
Okay.
How much for a bed?
No, that.
About
That we're
what I
trying to
asked.
save the world.
Yeah. I understand. I'm asking a lot.
It's not that it's a lot. It's I don't know how to phrase that thing without like being.
Yeah. Anyway, we'd probably need a translator if we want to speak to them.
Yeah, the guy that taught you magic.
Yeah. Let's ask around, see if we can find a place for the night, and we can try to chat with people with the translator's help. Uh, I'll try speaking with them. Maybe I can find a word. Because I don't want to do that ritual with just us.
Mm.
It's gonna be so heavy.
I think
I
that
mean,
this whole
if
endeavor is not about what we want to do.
if our goal is to tell them come over, the mountain is empty, and we're going to convince them, that means we need to empty the mountain in the first place. So I think that we're trying to solve tomorrow's problems today. I think we have real today problems to deal with on how to get to the mountain in the first place.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted some hope that we would get help if we could do the thing. Just knowing that if we manage to do the thing, we might get help. Just guess I was doing it for me. But you're right. We can try to come back to get help once we found a way. In the meantime, we can try to go see with Miles' friend. He has some creature that kills some tourists. That is probably not an animal. And if we manage to get rid of it, maybe he could find us some help. Maybe.
Theoretically, he should know people who would be able to make this hike.
That's what he said, that if we could help him, he could find us people to help us. He also
It's a
said he
shame we
wouldn't.
can't convince the cultists to do the ritual.
That'd be great. We just swap the rituals?
Here, you're going up to the top of the mountain anyway. Could you just do this while you're there?
Oh, we
sure
can
that would
take
go
their
very
summoning.
well.
We take their summoning ritual and just swap the books. The thing is, the only person that can see the symbols and destroy it is the people who did the ritual. So, even if we could manage it, I think it would backfire.
I mean, those are tomorrow problems.
You would just have to make sure that they all died afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sure that would go well with us.
I mean, last time we assisted one of their ritual, they all did die afterward.
Yeah. We weren't involved, though.
Yeah. So, so an important note, just in case, for those of you who actually know the ritual, the Eye of Light and Darkness. So the participants have to chant as the blood is given. The word requires POW from the people chanting, not necessarily given with their knowledge.
Right. And everyone typically has at least a little, right?
Yep.
Okay. So theoretically, we wouldn't even need to tell them what they were doing, just that they need to do it.
If we, and I say if, are able to clear the cult of on the mountain, then we can ask for priests and people to come and pray the old gods, which would protect them from the and trick them into giving us their power while doing it. I just feel bad just saying
This
it.
is not a morally slippery slope at all.
Oh, the only person I would feel bad about deceiving is whoever's blood is going to be used.
But it's
anyone
drips
else?
of blood. It's not like pints of
It
blood
is.
either.
It's not, pint jars full of it. So They're really the only one I feel like we need to tell what we're doing. And why. Anyone else, unless they have some kind of tie to this sort of magic and deity, then they're not even going to notice. Because this isn't the kind of thing that they get involved with or do. Right?
I mean, it's kind of too late to talk about morality. We killed people. I mean,
We killed bad people.
Mm-hmm. We're not killing anyone with the ritual. Having them put magical energy into it isn't going to kill them.
The only person I ever shot at soaked bullet like it was candy because he made a pact with a dark god.
Oh,
So
that's ominous.
For now.
So the moral relativism is just like a handy tool, I think.
No, I was about to say something and then retracted. I'm not gonna come out of this clean. But I'd like for any of us to just come out at least a bit.
I'm not entirely sure some of us went into it clean. So.
Eugene looks on the ground.
I have no particular moral qualms about tricking people into helping us with a ritual that's going to save their lives. It's no different than a mother fooling her children into eating their vegetables.
It's not different than just like every stupid religion that there is.
Or that.
As a next rabbi student once said.
It's so good Luther isn't here. Luther would be scandalized at that. But I agree with you completely.
Well, we need to find a way to get this mountain purge, this called stop first. So we need to investigate. We can't just take the map and go to the mountain. We need to find a solution first.
For that, I think we should take advantage of Mr. Expedition. The not-so-brave fellow.
Well, if we go on the safari and we can hunt down the beast that killed his other friends, maybe we can gain some sort of support. That'd be a start.
Maybe, but sooner would be better than later. And I'm a little more inclined to help now that I can walk a bit more freely.
I feel a bit better. I'm not perfectly healthy, but I can function. Still need a few days of rest, but we could go to him and check about the safari and organizing stuff. So we can try to hunt down whatever killed his friend, his patron.
I think he will scratch our back if we scratch his. He said so.
Yep.
Do you guys even remember the days when the biggest thing we had to worry about was one too many drinks and we might end up dead?
Or arrested. Sneaking into a speakeasy because drinking alcohol was scandalous.
Even alcohol is not as tasty anymore.
And as much as I'd like to go back to those days, there is nothing we can do about the mountain without getting first-hand information about it.
I was about to say that There's nothing we can do about the mountain before getting drunk.
If we get enough blackout drunk, maybe we'll fix the mountain and we won't remember how we did it.
Oh dear.
I wouldn't bet on that though.
No, likely not. Is the... You're all very dour right now. Is the issue what we're going to need to do to these cultists to get rid of them so that we can do our ritual instead?
It's the fact that
No.
there are so many of them that we cannot hopefully fight this fight alone. We need to find a solution, help something to do something about them.
That's
So
right.
why
That's the
Or
problem.
grenades.
why don't we approach the parents of... Didn't they say that children had been taken as sacrifices for some of these things?
People have been taken.
Oh, why don't we approach the loved ones of the people who've been kidnapped by this cult? Offer them a bit of revenge.
As what? We're building a mob?
Yes, Alvin, we are.
To
We
take
are
them to
very much.
a 5-day hike to face an unknown amount of cultists on the other side that can summon demons. This is why I feel dour. In every other situation we've been in, we've been able to be clever and use our smarts and our knowledge, our insight, and we've always been able to approach the problem, to skirt the problem and to strike from the side. I can't see a situation where this doesn't end up us on one side of a battlefield, them on the other side of the battlefield, running at each other while shooting.
Did it
Well,
ever come to your mind when you agreed to take on this task that eventually you might have to do something like this? Get your nose bloody and possibly bloody or worse to somebody else.
Yes. There's just so much left that we have to do. And I don't see us, as much as I am willing to be that first person on that line running towards the enemy, I don't see a success here.
All right. How about luring them away?
I think if we want to make a plan, we need more information, more detail on what's happening here. So if we speak with people, if we try to investigate a bit around it, maybe we can find details on what's happening that would help us find a plan. Because right now, with
We're
the
gonna have.
information we have, I don't see a plan.
I don't
We
think
need-
we're gonna have it in this village, though.
Probably not.
We need to do either one of two things. We either need to face the cult head on, or we need to somehow sneak around them. If we're going to sneak around them, then we're going to need a distraction that will lure them away from the mountain long enough for us to be there to cast the ritual. Because I do not have the strength to do that ritual alone. Other people have to be involved, and my blood isn't suitable for it anyway.
I can still give a little mine, but I mean,
Whether we sneak around the cultists, or scare them away, or lure them away,
that would be great.
but then we need someone as bait, or something as bait, or something that they want that they will leave in great numbers to go get. And I don't know that we have any of those things.
Do they fear the ritual?
Our ritual?
Yeah, because
I don't know if they fear it. They certainly are determined not to let us cast it.
Because if one of us, or we were able to hire, I don't know what, able to pretend that it is being cast somewhere else, they might come in large numbers to stop us elsewhere.
Gotcha.
That
I mean, maybe.
is a nice idea to explore.
That could work. If it lures them away in enough number. What's the second highest mountain in Kenya? And do they already have cultists camped out there?
It's also many, 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 many miles from where you guys will be.
Yeah. But I mean, we would need somehow a way of slipping that information to them so that it looks accidental.
I mean, they're following us.
Or we need to be very, very loud about where we're planning to go and when. Quote unquote, planning to go.
At the end of the day, nothing matters until Miles is able to chart us a path there. Because if we show up there and they have 2,000 people, even if they send 100 against us, it doesn't matter.
I wouldn't start by going straight to the mountain still.
We need information from what we're facing before we can come up with a plan.
Yeah, and we don't have to charge the mountain to get some. I think if we just go there blind and we know nothing about the place, we're just gonna get killed. If we help Smiles' friend, we can get a crew to get there. People, some assistance, maybe some information. And we can try to find other details before we go. I don't know. Just grasping for straws.
Let's first, I mean, all of us, our nerves are a little afraid. At least my nerves are a little afraid by all this. Let's get some sleep. Let's get back to town. Let's figure out our next steps. All of us come up with better ideas once we've had a little bit of sleep.
Fair.
And some alcohol. And some coffee. Sadly, I think we're only going to get 2 of those things.
I don't even have a snarky remark.
It's because you know I'm right.
All right. As the day kind of winds down, Akoma will show you 2 accommodations. It's basically it's well after dark, and traveling back to the city at this point is not generally recommended.
Daunting.
But he'll set you up in like a little hut. You guys can get some much needed rest.
Cozy.
And after that, we were able to get back to town.
Yeah. If your plan is to go to town the next day, you can certainly make your way back to Nairobi in the morning. The bright yellow Rolls Royce will escort you back to Nairobi.
Bright yellow.
It's absolutely absurd that we are like sleeping in a hut and rolling in a Rolls Royce.
I know. It's so strange, but I don't know. I have to ask. And she'll, like, lean forward. Where did this car come from?
England, I believe.
I've never in my life seen a yellow Rolls Royce.
Up until today, I've never in my life seen any kind of gestures at your group.
Fair. Very fair. Did you order it from England? Did you ask for it to be yellow?
It was like this when I found it.
You found it?
Oh, yes.
Where did you find it?
Oh, it was laying a little bit off one of the roads. My
Did
guess...
someone... Sorry.
Some of the people who are not familiar with the area will occasionally say, "Oh, that looks like a lion. We should get a better, closer look."
Oh.
So I believe the previous owners probably came to some unfortunate end.
Did they think the yellow would blend in with the landscape?
I don't know. Europeans and Americans are hard to understand.
I agree.
That's fair, too. I mean, this is a bit out of our element.
But the car was sitting there. I know how to fix cars. Now I have a car.
Handy skill. Very useful.
And as he's like driving down like this bumpy, not quite a road from this little village back to Nairobi, he literally drives it like he stole it.
Because he did.
No, he found it.
Not exactly.
I mean, it was abandoned. Theoretically. It's an interesting car. That's for certain.
I like to think it makes a statement.
I'm not
It
sure what
does.
that statement is, but it definitely makes a statement, yes.
Yeah. And he'll kind of like drop it down into gear and hit the gas.
Evelyn will turn back around in her seat, just kind of amused at the whole yellow car just sitting along the side of the road.
There's probably a lion. Maybe a snake.
Maybe
From what I've
a
heard.
lion.
Oh, don't make the animals here worse.
Are they worse
Please.
than moon beasts?
Okay, that's fair. I've seen snakes close up. I haven't seen a lion close up, so I can't really say.
You don't want to.
Oh, no? How large are they? I've only heard rumors.
They're cats, right?
They're big cats.
They're
But they're
big
not
cats.
But they're not as big as bears.
Ever seen a bear?
But the smallish bears or the biggest bears?
I suppose we have quite a range of those, too. But my understanding is they are closer to a bear, say a black bear, than they are to a house cat.
I assume.
A black bear would be the size of a very, very large dog.
The problem with the lion is if you see one lion up close, other members of the pride are probably stalking you.
Oh. That's the tactic we need to take with the cultists.
I mean, that's what I've heard.
Have you... You have seen a lion.
Oh, yes. At a distance. And he taps the rearview mirror.
Also a good idea, yeah.
Lions are not the most dangerous creature out here, though.
What is...
People.
Do you have hippo around?
People, undoubtedly.
Hippopotamuses in the river.
That's the one I fear.
The soft pink ones?
Oh god.
They're neither of those.
4 teeth?
The hippo was... They had some in Egypt. God. I fear those things.
They have 4 teeth.
They have jaws strong enough to bite your arm clean off.
And they hate you. They hate you so much.
Bite it off with what? They have 4 teeth.
Well, then perhaps they are strong enough to gum your arm off in one fell swoop.
That's horrifying.
Well, at least they're big and fat. I can outrun it, right? I don't understand how so.
No, you can't.
I've had a child, like a baby, gum my finger hard enough that it hurt. So I could imagine that on an arm, but I mean they can't. Why does Eugene have that look on his face?
Hippopotamus is, if you translate the name, it means river horse.
Okay, and
Have you seen the speed at which a horse run?
they are not built like horses.
No, but the
A dragonfly isn't the size of a dragon either, but
I wouldn't put my chances of outrunning those things.
really? Huh.
I've asked our friend for the biggest gun we have, because I know they have some of those here too.
New plan about the mountain.
Lure a hippo? And a lion? Up the mountain?
Let's say we make saddles for the hippos.
And we put
I
lion
would
on the
heavily
saddles.
advise against trying to ride a hippo.
And play Walker's Fall of the Valkyrie on the clay.
I mean, I don't know how we would pull that off, but that seems wonderful, but terrifying.
I like the fact that we're thinking of other ideas. At least we're there.
Yeah.
How do you lure a hippo? I mean, I'm
Well-
assuming that to lure a lion, you just get a
I'm
idiot
just
to stand
saying.
in the middle of a field and say, "I'm so far from my yellow Rolls Royce. I'll never get back to it in time."
All
I
I'm
hope I don't
saying
get
is
eaten.
all I'm saying is that we're all clearly in a better mood after having slept a little bit.
That, I mean, yes, it probably did help. How do you lure a hippo into a mountain? That,
Oh my!
Oh,
I mean, if you can't outrun it.
that's convenient because actually I have the 2 monster books for Call of Cthulhu, and they give me stats for hippopotamuses.
We're
That's
not
horrifying.
outrunning a hippo or a lion.
Right, but that means
So-
neither are the cultists, and it
So I need
would
to
probably
find the
scare them
elk.
away.
We need to find
The idea is I don't have to be faster than the animals. I just have to be faster than one of you. Then sure.
You just have to be faster than the cultists.
So
I
I need
mean-
to find a ritual to summon hippos. They do
You
look.
can go
like
wander by a river, and then you'll come face to face with one, and it might be the last thing you ever do.
Oh, it's probably will.
Before you're gummed to death by something that runs faster than it looks like it can. You realize this animal sounds more and more ludicrous the more you talk about it.
That's why I think there's a ritual to summon one. It's probably comes from the land of dream. That's probably someone's nightmare that just escaped and started breathing out.
Oh.
Makes more sense than assuming that thing is supposed to exist.
So we spend the next few hours theorizing on ridiculous plans to lure people out of a mountain, trying to break the tension of what we have and the monumental task ahead of us.
Because
which one of
Eugene
these
is
animals
terrorized
are,
of like hippo.
which one of these animals are really from the dreaming and just accidentally here?
Like our friend
Hippos,
here.
giraffes. Giraffes aren't normal. They can't be.
Who's taking care of our little lizard friend?
Who is taking care of the lizard?
If nobody calls it, probably Eugene is trying to feed it flies.
That's what I assumed. I mean, it's very bad of me, but I assumed Eugene would like the weird stuff.
Oh, what if there's a skill involved? Then I don't know. I mean, I can take care of it.
So yeah, I mean, it is weird, but it is still kind of an animal. But you guys do notice in the time that you've had this little cage, all of the biting, stinging insects that are just like par for the course for being in Africa don't seem to be bothering you guys at all.
This is my favorite animal.
I'll put some fly
Could
traps.
be the whisk.
Could be the whisk too.
I'll put some fly trap to catch some food for it.
Right. But yes, after a couple of hours, you guys arrive back in Nairobi. Miles, you would be aware that because Colonel Endicott did give you an invitation, and you know where his lodge is. His lodge is about 4 hours outside of Nairobi.
Chris, as soon as we hit the outskirts of Nairobi, I am on full-on who's tracking us, who's following us mode.
Okay. Give me a spot hidden roll. Okay.
Hard success.
Right. It doesn't start right away, but gradually, as you know, it's like the car takes you back to Swahili town, and from there you're basically on foot. And it doesn't take you long at all, Alvin, to pick up the fact that you are being watched.
How do they know when we got back in town?
I don't know. Perhaps the big yellow Rolls Royce.
It does
Fair.
stand out. This is not
Thank
a vehicle meant for stealth.
Thank you, Miles.
No.
Your common sense always comes
I
through.
wonder,
I
would we
think
be
we get
able?
our own yellow Rolls Royce and put a big arrow on it and say, "Here we are."
Yes, precisely. I was going to sort of wonder if we'd be able to lure the cultists away from the mountain using this car.
Just as a note, you guys are the only white people in Swahili town.
Yeah, we stand out a lot. But
Also,
we're not
there's
nearly as visible in the vehicle
Also, there's
as we are
absolutely
walking around.
there are no roads to get to that mountain that a vehicle would fit on. We're on foot. That's the one problem with that plan.
Mm.
Hey, Chris,
Yep.
looking at the map and all, what is our last bit of civilization before we embark on this?
Okay, so Nairobi basically borders the jungle. Like, when you start heading towards the mountain, there's Nairobi, and then there's like a little bit of flat plains, and then there's jungle.
Okay, so even if we wanted to take an outlandish, garish, here we are vehicle, we're not going far in it.
No, you're getting like maybe a mile outside of the city before you're like, fuck it, this car's not going any further.
Okay. I relay that. I convey that.
And actually, Miles, you would be aware that it's not even a gradual petering into jungle. It's basically there's the city, there's the area around the city that's been cleared, and then there's jungle.
So it's back to riding hippos?
There is a nearby river if anybody wants to go. I found the stats for hippopotamuses, so.
So you're prepared. Thanks for that.
Yeah. I think it's the 5d6 bite. And then it grabs you, and it basically it's an automatic 2d6 damage every round as it plays with you.
Its
Oh, that sounds great.
Its jaw strength is ridiculous.
Hell yes.
Have you said 2d6?
No, I said 5d6 on the initial bite.
It's stronger.
Ow!
It's stronger than a military rifle.
Uh-huh.
Eugene is terrified of hippo. Like, there's probably a reason, I assume.
Eugene and everybody should be afraid of a hippo.
If it rolls all ones, I'm still almost dead.
All right. So, in Nairobi, what do you guys want to do?
Get the equipment that I requisitioned, so we can at least get that out of the way.
And it is possible to take a vehicle from Nairobi to Colonel Endicott's game lodge.
Yeah, when we departed and we parted ways, did he get back on a train to go there, or did he get picked up for the long drive back?
No, he got picked up.
Oh.
It's about 4 hours out of Nairobi, but it's not inland.
Since everybody in Nairobi is afraid of the cult, I think our next step would be to go to Corporal Endicott hunting lodge. Maybe we can help him hunt down that creature and get some of his assistance for the rest.
Actually, he promised us assistance if we would be able to take care of that problem for him. And he knows people that might be swayed to help us in our endeavors.
Because right now we need more information and more help. It's no use to just go straight for the mountain. And I see nowhere else where we can get some help and some assistance and some information. There might be other option, but don't spot them.
We are going to have to requisition a vehicle to get there because he lives about 4 hours away from Nairobi.
Yeah. You're right. We'll need to get some way to get there.
I thought you wanted to ask in town, trying to get information about the mountain.
We can try, but when we are in town, we are watched at all time, and everybody seems absolutely terrified of the Bloody Tongue. So if we ask in town, I just don't know where to start from.
Can't we remember what we did in China? We sent people to go ask questions for us who are locals, and we'll be able to get answers.
Yeah. We need a guide that we're sure is not affiliated with the Bloody Tongue, and who would be willing to work with us. And try to look for it. I just thought that if we help Endicott, the guide he would find for us would be safer to use for that purpose. Just that we don't have many points of contact with people here to make sure that we don't deal with cultists.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that Endicott is effectively a tool that we should use. Could have stopped that a tool, but I mean,
I believe it can be useful too, yeah.
You muted, Anita.
Sorry. Evelyn looks at Gary when he says, I could have just stopped at a tool. And she says, I didn't want to say it, but yes. He does seem to be a bit more bluster than bite.
What do you know, people? I'm betting on the people he knows more than using him directly. But he's been here for a long time. And if he knows guides that are willing to brave the mountain of the bloody tongue, maybe he can point us to other people that could be useful.
All right. I will quite happily watch as you and Miles woo him.
I mean,
I'm
it
sorry,
will probably
who am I
imply
wooing?
going on a safari with him.
Don't try to get me to woo a hippo for you. That's your job if you want to do
Not
that.
a hippo. I mean, he is bit, but Endicott. Exchanging tales, big game hunting, camaraderie, etc., so on.
No, I'm happy to do
Those
that.
things that hunters do. See?
However, I'm not on board for getting a lion or a hippo as mounts.
No, sadly, I think we've abandoned that idea.
Also, in case you're even remotely thinking about it, zebras do not make good mounts either. They are not really riding animals either.
Sadly? I don't think it's sadly.
I don't know, because some of you might think it looks like a horse. Surely it can be ridden like a horse.
I did have a dream once that I would be the referee for a polo game riding a zebra, but that was a strange dream. Because the zebra is striped like a referee. Oh, whatever.
Oh, I see.
Okay, that leaves us with the question of, do we search in town for more information, or do we head straight to Endicott's?
Endicott. Let's just cut through some of the chaff.
I was thinking of Endicott because I don't know from where to take Nairobi. I don't have a starting point.
Might as well start with him. He knows the area better than anyone. He knows the people better than the rest of us, certainly. And he's not driving a bright yellow Rolls Royce, so we might not stand out quite as much. Although we will undoubtedly still stand out.
Actually, beside him, I think we're discreet.
Like I said, seems to be more bluster than bite, and he is quite a bit of bluster.
Well, it's a sad man with lots of bitterness. So, if push, he'll shove back, but we just need to be careful. But I think he can be useful.
Maybe we can keep him away from the drink.
So how do we go about getting to him?
We need to rent a car, I assume.
I mean, we could walk if you'd like, but it's probably going to be quite a bit slower.
His estate is reachable by car, from what I understand. So I try to rent something in town.
I mean, don't ask me. I've never been there. Miles is the only one who's been there.
No, I'm just... That's what I would do. We can start looking for a car and set up for there.
Yeah, Miles knows. It's about 4 hours by car outside of Nairobi.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to walk that.
How hard is it for us to rent a car? Does no one bat an eyelash, or is it like, oh my god, the white people are asking for stuff?
Oh no, you guys have money. They will rent you a car.
I mean, there is part of town where we stand out, which is Swahili town, but if we're in the other part of town full of colonizer,
Yeah,
you
Nairobi is
blend in.
heavily segregated. But yes, in Nairobi itself, you just go and you say like, I would like to rent a vehicle. Here is some money, and it's a done deal. You guys still have a bunch of money from Jackson's inheritance,
So since I've been to this guy's lodge before, is it like a road that's like completely clear, civilized the entire way, paved, or is it rough road or something like that at some point? Or
it's like a rough road. It's a road that's been broken kind of through the jungle to his estate. And I'll use the term estate loosely. It's not paved, but it is maintained.
It's the kind of thing where in 20 years we would have gotten a Jeep to go there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and you can definitely get a Jeep nowadays. I mean, Jeeps existed in the late 20s.
Did they? Cool. I thought it was more of a Vietnam thing.
No. No, Jeeps have been around forever. I mean, they look vaguely similar to what you picture when you picture like a World War II era Jeep.
Okay, that's kind of where I'm thinking. I'm thinking World War II era Jeep as opposed to a turn of the century Jeep. I guess.
Yeah, like a little bit, like kind of a cross between like a Model T and a like World War II Jeep, kind of like somewhere in that ballpark. So Miles, you're also aware that the lodge, basically the lodge has a kind of the main house where the colonel and guests reside, a couple of outbuildings, and then there's what's called a viewing platform, which is a couple of miles away from the main compound. The viewing platform is generally where the hunting is done from. Basically, think of it as like a glorified, like upscale deer stand. And then, of course, if people are more inclined to do actual hunting, then they can kind of wander the grounds. And there's like zebra and wildebeest and impalas, giraffes, rhinoceros, lions, cheetahs, leopards, occasionally elephants. Part of his lands do encompass a part of the river, so crocodiles and hippopotamuses are potential prey. So there's a variety of wildlife in the area. So kind of like the upper class hunter, and I'll use the term loosely, will stay at the observation stand and shoot at things that come around. The more adventurous hunters will go on foot with their guns to hunt down prey.
okay, now it's just a question of getting vehicles.
Yep.
Or a vehicle.
Yep, getting a vehicle is not a problem at all.
I'd like to buy a revolver.
Question: are the Jeeps like open roof, or are they like a closed, contained, like an army Jeep kind of thing, or whatever? Like I'm thinking of a medical thing, maybe, but yeah.
You can get either. Kind of depends on what you would like.
Because I have an idea that perhaps we take two, and we hire a driver to take one of them, and perhaps that could be a distraction in case anyone is following us.
That
That's
seems
an
like a
excellent.
good idea.
Chris, in terms of like tracking and avoiding counter tracking, how does it sound in terms of a plan? Like, how would I put something together to make like a fake exit?
Really, it would basically come down to a stealth roll from whoever is doing the driving. There would be a bonus die if you hired the other vehicle to act as a decoy.
I think that's what he's implying. So, okay, so I'll do that, and
Yep.
at least I'll drive the first half of the leg because I think that my stealth is better than anybody else's here.
I think your stealth is better.
I can't even drive, so.
There you go.
But yeah, Chris, is it possible to buy a handgun?
Yeah, I put one on your character sheet, actually.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
I did buy the elephant gun last game that was suggested by Endicott. I don't know what gun that would represent in the system, but I bought the biggest thing I could find because I'm afraid of Reality Shambler and also of Hippo.
Of Americans.
Also,
It's an excellent song.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yep.
And if I remember, was Miles buying an elephant gun as well?
He might not be there.
Pretty sure he did. All right. So a stealth roll from Alvin with a bonus die from the decoy car.
Sorry, who's doing the stealth roll?
Alvin. I was just checking. Did Miles buy the elephant gun as well?
Yeah, I would buy one.
Okay, perfect. I added one onto your character sheet.
We can't find a Tommy gun anywhere, can we?
No, Tommy guns are not used for hunting.
No, that attitude.
it's not the American way.
Depends what you're hunting.
We want a Tommy gun for the cultists.
We want to hunt freedom.
It's not to say that Tommy guns aren't available. It's just you'll have to do a little bit of legwork as opposed to just going into the store and going, give me that one.
Yeah.
I'll take the biggest gun you could give me.
All right. So you guys head out. You do make arrangements for the decoy vehicle. Pay a couple of kids to basically just be like, follow us for a bit and then peel off, sort of thing. Not hard. I mean, you don't know if they're going to bring that vehicle back or anything, but it is enough for you to safely leave Nairobi unmolested and unfollowed.
What are we waiting on?
Oh, it's just loading up a map.
Oh.
Something different to look at. Basically, the game lodge. So yeah, as you guys arrive at the lodge, it is getting on towards 5 o'clock. Basically, getting on towards supper time. It is very close to a watering hole and game trails. So people, and as you guys drive and get like a little bit away from the city and a little bit more into the wilds of Nairobi, you do see a wide variety of wildlife. Monkeys, say like a rhinoceros in the distance, some large cats relatively nearby, but giving a fairly wide berth to your vehicle. But yeah, you do get to see a sampling of the African wildlife as you travel to the game lodge.
I keep an eye out to see if we are being followed.
You can give me a spot hidden roll.
I keep an eye out for hippos.
You know, I never thought that my life would lead me to Africa.
I can safely say that makes two of us. This is definitely not where I ever expected to be.
Miles, you're confident that you're not being followed. And the road leads you up to the main house, which is kind of like a little bit of a gated compound. A couple of outbuildings. There is a garage where you can park your vehicle. As you kind of rumble up, Colonel Endicott comes out to meet you. With him is a very large black gentleman who essentially kind of like, grabs your bags and anything that you wish to bring into the house. Kind of Landicott's like, take their stuff into the guest room there, Joe. The big guy just kind of like nods, doesn't say anything.
His name is Joe?
Joe. Well, to be honest, I can't pronounce his real name, so he answers to Joe.
See, that makes more sense.
I'm glad you could make it. We were about to sit down to dinner, drinks. I'm sure you would like to knock some of the dust off.
If you will have us.
Thank you once again for your hospitality, Colonel. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. I wasn't sure if you would come. Lord knows I could use the business, but it would be impolite of me to charge friends, especially those who may be able to assist me with my troubles. But as he does
that,
that,
place you got. How many people work here?
Oh, currently it is only myself and Joe. Business has not been good of late.
Well, if we can hunt down your problem, maybe we can make it shine more.
I would be very grateful.
I make a mental note that means that if I see anyone who's not Joe, we're probably being spied on again.
Yep. And as he leads you into the main house, it is classic Safari Lodge, like animal heads mounted on the walls, zebra and lion skin rugs, guns on racks, like scattered throughout as like decoration.
A one family genocide of the wildlife that was once in Africa.
Yes.
Classy.
All of it is it's very well kept. It's clean. You can hear like the running of both like a small generator that provides the power, and there's like a pump so that there's actually running water in the house as well. It's all very civilized, aside from the animal carcasses everywhere. But you can tell like it's comfort living. This is, for our modern sensibilities, this is not what anyone would call a hunting lodge, but back in the day, this is 100% a safari lodge.
So this place is more comfortable than my apartment back in Chicago.
Oh, yes. And he leads you through into the kitchen where basically Joe is in the process of just kind of finishing up supper and bringing it out, to an assortment of like roasted meats and vegetables and stuff. So, suppose I should tell you a little bit about my problems. I mean, I understand that we've spoken briefly on it, but over the last couple of years, there have been some unfortunate accidents that have tainted the reputation of my lodge to the point where I simply can't get people interested in coming. The local tribes say that it is my lands have been cursed. And everybody can give me psychology rolls.
I do have.
Miley is keen as always.
Why did you roll psychoanalysis?
Should be psychology for Eugene.
Oh, I chose the wrong one.
Yeah.
Assumed I failed.
Psychoanalysis is for helping people get better.
Yeah, I assume I failed.
Okay. So for Miles and Evelyn and Gary, who for once is not staring at people's shoes, when he says something about the lands being cursed, he's kind of like he's looking at you to see whether there's any hint that you might believe in curses. But you guys also pick up that he knows he's cursed. There's just something in the way he says it that you're like, you guys kind of catch on to the fact that he knows. He's just checking to see if you guys believe in curses.
I haven't catched on that, but who would have cursed you?
Oh, well, one of the local tribes claims that the hunting lodge is on their land. Claims that are unfounded, of course. And again, I'll get psychology rolls.
A hard success. Check that out. Gary, too.
Right. So, Alvin and Gary, and I'll get Evelyn to give me a psychology roll.
Sorry, you'd like another psychology roll?
Yep.
Sure.
All right. So when he's basically says like, oh, the lands, you know, this tribe says that the lodge is on their lands. He's definitely lying about that. He's basically saying what you would expect, like, oh, the evil tribe has cursed me because I'm stealing their lands. But Evelyn, Gary, and Alvin kind of catch up to the fact like that sounds too rehearsed.
Right, that's what they say. But
I'll give them the of course, but I really know what you mean kind of smile.
I'm going the other way. Alvin is a little blunt that says, like, of course that's what they say. They probably had a different reason to get on your nerves or to get on your bad side.
He kind of looks at you, and you can see he's got this look on his face. I'm not going to get you guys to roll again. We'll just kind of let those rolls stand. But he's kind of looking at back, and when you say that, Alvin, the way he reacts is like, you don't think the tribe has anything at all to do with this.
Right. So you want us to break the curse.
Well, you said the curse was some form of beast that hurt some of your clients?
Yes. People who have stayed out overnight at the viewing station. Maybe they got up in the middle of the night. Maybe they heard a noise. Maybe they saw something. But found the bodies the next morning, mutilated.
Maybe it's a hippo.
It's a possibility. Could be a hippo, could be a lion.
Okay, but you hunt these things. You've seen both hippos and lions, and you just said that you saw their remains.
Yes, the fact that
I look at him flat in the eyes. It wasn't a hippo, was it?
He kind of slumps back in his seat. Says, "No." I shouldn't have listened to them. I shouldn't have let them do what they did. But I was desperate.
Shouldn't have let who do what?
The Houston and Penhu. When the Carlisle expedition came through, they spent a couple of nights here.
Them again?
What do you mean again?
We've been having sorry, I'm just missing the word in English, but
we're repairing their wrongs for a while now.
Is there any evil on this earth that they are not the source of?
I mean, we've been hunting them, so we've been on their track. But yeah, I get your feeling. So what did they tell you to do?
They were here. They were on safari, wanting to go hunting. Had heard of my lodge and decided to spend a couple of days here. One night, we had several drinks. They had mentioned my wife and my son, who had died a few years previous. And one of them, Houston, said that he could bring them back. That he was capable of working miracles. He was quite inebriated, going on and on about powers beyond that of normal men, powers that made him a god. And he said that he would prove it.
But it would cost you your soul.
No, nothing so grand. He said some words, he made some gestures. It was really quite laughable. But ever since then, things have not gone well for me.
So he actually demonstrated his quote-unquote power, and nothing that you were aware of happened, and yet other than your sudden misfortune.
Correct. So, I don't know if you necessarily believe in curses or not, but not more than 2 weeks after that was when the first death occurred.
And
I look to my group. What do we know about curses?
They're usually something tangible. What did he say? He was summoning something?
He said he had the power to bring my wife and son back.
And did he?
No.
Is what's tearing those people apart even remotely human?
I don't know. I've never seen anything.
Is he lying?
Evelyn, this line of question makes me really uncomfortable.
You can give me a psychology roll. You will need an extreme success.
Wow, okay. Oh, did you need me to... Was I supposed to set something different on the difficulty? I was. Never mind.
Yep. You could spend 49 luck if you would like to pass.
No. Have you seen any tracks?
Well, there are plenty of tracks. Animals come through here frequently.
Excuse me, sir. I mean, I think we're kind of past the moment where you try to talk in roundabout ways about what we are supposed to be doing here. I mean, we can stay polite or we can be efficient. And if not polite, I like efficient. So, would it be too much to ask to be as thorough and as direct as possible for us to help you against that misfortune?
Give me a persuasion roll.
I will.
All of the deaths occurred individuals that were spending the night at the hunting platform, at the watch platform. Whatever is happening must be situated there. That is where Penhew did his magic. Perhaps if we go there at night, we'll be able to see, maybe have a better idea. I've not been brave enough to do it myself.
Maybe if we could go take a look at that observation deck, maybe we could see traces of what he did.
There would be no traces. And you know there wouldn't be traces because this was like probably at least 6 years ago.
Oh.
Do you remember any of the words that he said?
A couple of them.
Like?
How about we don't say them aloud?
How about we do?
So yeah, he'll say a couple of words. They do not sound like any language anybody recognizes, but folks can give me Cthulhu Mythos rolls.
God damn it.
Are they names we've heard before?
Ah, damn it.
Couldn't have written them down. No.
I think I'm gonna spend a luck. It's 4 luck.
Of course you will.
You're only 4 away. Holy crap, man.
Yep.
Nice.
So you don't recognize, like, it's not like there's any names of the gods. It's not like it wasn't a summoning ritual, but there are 1 or 2 words that you've heard in reference to raising of the dead. The particular language is like it's a variant of like Old Atlantean.
Oh yeah, because we know Old Atlantean. So
Eugene has apparently
Basic
some degree of
understanding.
knowledge. But yes, it wasn't a summoning or a binding or anything of that nature. It sounds like it was like a resurrection spell or a raise dead spell of some nature.
Is it close to the ritual to make undeads from dart binding in Africa?
No.
I haven't learned that ritual, but I know it exists, and I
Yeah.
like overseen that book. Because if he made undead servant with it, that would have been twisted.
Yep. No, this is not like a create zombie or anything of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that. Create Simba. I know that ritual.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. He
Mhm.
genuinely tried to bring them back from the word you said, but might have called something else.
They were drinking.
Never drink and ritual.
No, definitely not. Yeah. That's something you definitely need to do sober.
If we're gonna go there at night, I'd like to check the place before. Get a note of what it looks like when it's normal. See if we can notice anything different when we come back at night.
Of course. We'll finish up dinner and then go.
Yes. We've dealt with strange thing before. See if we can be of assistance to you.
So the rest of the dinner is kind of like uncomfortable silence. He does eat quickly. Almost like he's quite eager to get out there now that he has somebody who's interested in helping.
Or that doesn't think that he's completely nuts.
Mm.
And after dinner is ready, he will, unless you guys have something else you'd like to do, he will lead you out to the viewing platform.
Let's go.
Okay. So the viewing platform, it's a couple of miles from the main compound. It's a very small kind of 3-room hut built on stilts, very close to the banks of the river. There's these fairly rickety ladders that lead up to the platform itself. But the platform, it's well equipped. There's 7 beds, there's dried food and water, to Miles's skills. It's enough food and water for about 3 days for about a half dozen people. 2 pairs of binoculars. There's a case of Glenlivet.
Don't mind if I do.
2 bolt-action rifles, a pistol, 100 rounds of ammunition for each, secured in a locker. And as you guys are kind of giving everything the once-over, people can give me either tracking, animal handling, natural world, or zoology.
Could you repeat that?
Tracking, animal handling, natural world, or zoology.
Okay.
Okay, so library use will not be useful.
Not libraries.
operate heavy machinery?
Do I have anything related to the natural world?
I'll spend 3 luck.
Okay.
I think the only one of those I even have is natural world. What were the options again? Just so I can double check.
Tracking, animal handling, natural world, or science zoology.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, so natural world at an 18 is my best option. Gotcha. Okay.
I do not have tracking. I don't even see it on my sheet.
Chris, how does this
It's the very
platform?
last skill is track.
Sorry, what was that, Mark?
How does this hunting platform work? Is it like enclosed, like so it's protected and it's a barrier thing, or what?
It's basically it's like a three room hut on the top of some stilts. There's a picture of it kind of here on Foundry. So yeah, like it's the stilts are tall enough that a giraffe can walk underneath it.
Oof.
And basically from up here, people drink their whiskey and use their binoculars to look at the animals, and if they feel the inkling, they pick up a gun and shoot one. The 20s. But yeah, so it is elevated up on 4 pillars, and then it's got like a balcony that goes all the way around the hut, and then the hut in the center of the platform.
Charming.
All right, so Gary and Evelyn, as you guys are kind of like looking around, kind of giving the once over, there are
adventurers.
Yeah.
That we are.
There are a variety of animal tracks here. You guys identify them as like baboon and zebra, some large cat prints. But both of you also notice that there are what look like bare human footprints that something has basically dragged across, almost like to try to eliminate the track. Like, you know how like if you're at the beach, you'll use like a rake to cover over something? So it's like something has dragged to try to cover over these human footprints, but not quite successfully enough.
Miles, what's that?
What's what?
That.
I take a look at what Eugene is pointing at, or sorry, what Gary's pointing at.
Yep. Yeah, they look like bare human footprints that have been partially covered over or concealed.
Like someone was walking around barefoot and then someone else covered it up or tried to. And Evelyn will look straight at Endicott.
Endicott's, I've never seen such a thing. No one would walk out here barefoot. Snakes are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Endicott, you're a skilled hunter.
Thank you.
You're a skilled tracker.
Yes.
Do we have to finish that sentences, or you're getting just like where we are going with that?
How could you
Evelyn
miss this?
Point at them. She'll just point at the tracks like, are you an idiot?
How fresh are these tracks?
Miles, they're fresh. They're probably less than 24 hours old.
That would explain.
These tracks are fairly fresh, like within the past day or so. It's possible he actually did not see these if he hasn't been out here for a day or two.
No, I just recently got back.
But how about we follow them? I mean, that's what we do with tracks, ain't it?
And I'm sure it's happened before.
Right. What I'm saying is that these tracks are obvious for us to notice. We're not skilled trackers. And two, this is not an animal. An animal does not necessarily go by trying to hide its tracks.
Chris, going by the pattern, is it bipedal or is it four-legged?
Oh, it's bipedal. And actually, as you're looking at them, give me let's call it a tracking roll with a bonus die.
Anybody?
Yeah, anybody who's looking at them closely.
Yeah. How do you do
I
bonus?
doubt I'll roll twice, but
There's a
see.
slider at the bottom.
My battery's low.
Woo! Miles!
Right.
Nicely done, Miles.
Okay. So Miles. Yeah. So as you're looking at these tracks, they don't look terribly heavy. Like they're not sunk very deep into the ground. But there doesn't seem to be, like, they don't go anywhere. It seems like they just kind of start in one location and move to another location around the viewing platform, and then just end. They don't lead anywhere. Like the entire area, like basically they kind of start in one location and they travel for maybe 30, 40, maybe 50 feet, and then they just end.
Chris, to be clear, I draw my gun.
Okay.
Can I ask, where do they end?
They're probably about 10 feet or so away from the edge of the viewing platform.
Endicott,
Yes.
what's up there?
What's up where?
And she'll look up toward the viewing platform.
The hut? Supplies?
Chris,
I have
where
a
the
theory.
footstops end? It's not a bench or something, right? It's not like this thing decided to put a strap on some boots afterwards and we lost the tracks, right? They just straight up disappear.
They just straight up end. Sorry, what was that, Anita?
Oh, I have a theory.
It's not a hippo.
No, I think we've determined that. But I think there might have been someone desperate enough to bring his wife and child back that he let some stranger use dark arts to summon them back, and now they're hiding in the hut, and he feeds passers-by to them.
I would never.
I would like to check if he
I was
is
going to say
lying.
psychology roll or
I
something.
don't believe it.
Can we do psychology roll on Chris?
Has no one looked at the general chat yet?
I could tell you that was completely. I would never.
It is an extreme psychology roll.
Holy crap!
Or could it be spot hidden, or is that purely for mundane, not psychological things like lying?
Sorry, what was that, Mark?
I was going to say whether or not spotting a lie could be spot hidden, or is this psychology?
It's psychology.
Can we try to do that psychology extremely ridiculous?
Oh,
You said we needed an extreme success for that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
So
tried
if
to
my
do
base is 10, I needed to roll 3 or less?
Yep. You would need to spend 9 luck to get the extreme success.
Ah, okay.
How much luck would Alvin need on a 12?
Alvin would need to spend 6. Oh, there you go. Okay.
I would need to spend 22.
Alvin, 2 things. 1, he's not lying. But 2, he is lying. There seems to be some sort of, with your psychology roll, there seems to be some sort of disconnect in his brain. There's the reality as to what he's done, and there's the reality as to what he thinks he's done. And those 2 things are not the same.
I straight up look at everyone and I give them the look that it's time to unsheathe your weapons. And I look at Endicott and I'm like, Endicott, what did you do? In the sense where I know what he did, but I'm trying to get him to say it.
I didn't do anything.
What did you do?
Nothing.
I'll unholster my pistol.
Just one more is all I need. And you can see, like, there's like a switch in his brain that kind of flicks. And it goes from this, like, I didn't do anything to this kind of, like, kind of desperate, I just need one more to bring them back. One more will bring it back. And as that switch happens, you guys all feel the wind start to pick up. And you can see these kind of humanish shapes starting to form up out of the ground.
I would rather not be that one.
Is that a count? Is there a count that I can... I'm very obsessed with numbers. How many shapes?
4.
4?
Yep. And basically it looks like as these things form out of the ground, basically the dirt, the debris, bones that have been buried here are all starting to form up into these humanoid-ish forms. But I think we'll call it there.
Fair. Terrible, but fair.
I saw it like that scene in like Good Will Hunting when he's like, it's not your fault, and then suddenly it like trips, but like evil.
Yep.
Who are the fuckers that insisted that we go and talk to Endicott? Oh,
that would be me. That would be my fault.
I was one of them. Yeah.
I thought it
we
might be
should go
useful,
here too.
just not in that way.
Yeah.
The same thing. He probably thought the same thing.
Did not expect it to go in quite this direction. Yeah.
I was expecting to be hunted eventually by something if we came here. So
I mean, once he said, "Oh, and I let him do some chanting because we were drunk, and he said he could prove that he can raise the dead." Evelyn's like, "Oh, I've been there. That was a bad idea. I've been drunk and talked to people on a Ouija board. And that's not nearly as bad as what Houston could do, or whatever the guy's name was."
Yep. All right, everybody can roll to recover their luck points.
I forget, do we click recover luck points or do we click development phase?
Click recover luck.
Yeah, recover luck.
Ooh, 6.
Ooh, 1.
Better than 0.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
one better than
Miles.
my 0.
Let the record show that I did tell everyone to pull out their weapons, and I think that they did.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody that that had weapons was starting to like unlimber them when poor Endicott, confronted with the possibility that he may have sacrificed umpteen people to try to bring back his wife and child, snapped and
Snap back to reality, hooks.
yeah. All right, but we will pick this up next week and we'll see how you guys fare.
Excellent
Battery.
timing, because I've got like 14% left on my laptop
All
battery.
right. Perfect. All right, so we'll see everybody next week. We'll see some of you for Forbidden Lands tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, and have a great one.
Have a good week, guys.
Take care.
Thanks,
too.
night, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night. Thanks for everything.
Yep.